Good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Enlace. My name is Ron Bueno. I'm the co-founder and executive director of Enlace. Today we have a very, very special guest. We have Tina Magar, all the way from Nepal. As many of you know, we've been working in Nepal for the last 7 years, and it's really exciting to have her here with us. She's going to be talking a little bit about the relief and recovery effort that they've been doing as a staff. So I hope everybody has their coffee in hand. This week, we're featuring the Guatemala, the coffee from, it's a Huehuetenango blend from San Pedro Nectar. It's a dark roast. It's a medium dark roast. I hope most of you have gotten it, received this last week. It went out, the new batch. If you haven't, please sign up for next month. But it is very good, so we're enjoying that. And I think Tina we'll need to think through how in Nepal we get maybe a chai or something, an Enlace chai going or something, so that we can enjoy a coffee from their region as well. But it is great to have you here. It's so great to have Tina with us. Tina and her husband Sam are the co-founders of Enlace Nepal. We met each other in 2013, just on a crazy set of adventures, and really felt and heard their hearts for the church, for community development, for what they wanted to do in Nepal. And it is our pleasure to be able to partner with them, to work with them. Two incredible young leaders. Tina's been the executive director now for 2 years, and she leads a team of 7 who are reaching out to 25 communities at this time. And we're so excited to have her on the program. As of March, like as the rest of the world, when everything started closing down because of COVID-19, their team stayed engaged with the community leaders, working with their local municipalities, which they call VDCs, to really identify and care for the most vulnerable families in their regions. It's a pleasure to have you, Tina. How are you doing today? How are you and Sam holding up these days?
Hello, Ron. Thank you very much for having me with you in your program. And we are doing really good. And thank you so much for praying for us. And we are doing good. We are in Kathmandu. We are here for our legal work. And we are also here for networking with other organizations. And I'm here with my 2 kids, my son 7 years old and my daughter 3 years old. And during this time when we are just staying at home, are not able to go outside and just spending time with them. It's one way, it's a good time because we got to know them more, play with them more. But at the same time, it's a challenge to 24 hours, not school, no schedule. So they keep us busy and it's really crazy. And same time, it's a good thing. Yeah.
And you guys are in Kathmandu in a little rented apartment, and you got stuck there and you haven't been able to go home because of the stay-at-home order. So you guys are even a more confined spot, and the kids don't have all their toys and their family and friends, everybody around them. So I'm sure it's quite a fun time at this point.
Yes. Back in home in Dang, we have our extended family. They live close by, so our kids could go there and play. But here, no, they do not have friends, and they do not have, where a place where they can refresh their mind. So it's definitely a challenge for them. Yeah.
It's all mom and dad right now. It's all mom and dad.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what's happening right now with the COVID situation in Nepal.
Yeah, here the number is increasing day by day. Now we have almost 34,418 cases confirmed, and we have death rate of 175 people have died because of COVID-19, and we believe the number will increase because we have 29 million people population here in Nepal, but only the test is not even done to 1 million people. So definitely, as the test will increase, then so the number of infected will also increase. So yeah, it's really hard here. Now in Kathmandu, we have complete lockdown. We can go outside only for 2 hours early in the morning to buy anything that we need for to buy grocery or to do other main shopping, and we have only a few hours in the morning. So yeah, it's really hard. Not only in Kathmandu, but in different districts in Nepal have been put into red zone. That means they are completely under lockdown. Yeah, so yeah, the situation here is getting worse. Yes.
How are the hospitals? Are you seeing a lot more people being hospitalized? Are they at capacity? Do they still have room? Kind of what's happening on the medical side?
Yes, hospitals are open, hospitals are open, but we find now and then in the news, many people, they go to, because of other critical illness, they go to hospital, but because they do not have their PCR test done. So everything takes time. They have to have their PCR test done, and until they have the report with them, many people have even died. Like we get news day after day, somebody had died because they could not do their dialysis for their kidneys because they did not have PCR test, they had to wait. So it's quite hard for those who have other medical issues, and same time because of this lockdown, yeah, it's really difficult here.
And how's COVID affecting the most vulnerable families? Could you maybe provide some stories of how the pandemic is affecting those families that were already maybe on the margin, were already living maybe in poverty at some level, and now are struggling just to feed themselves?
So according to our experience when we work with the communities in DAM, the list is mostly those who are elderly, those who do not have any family support from their children, or they do not have children or extended family living nearby. So they are in a vulnerable situation. And also there are those who work on daily basis. Since there is no work, they cannot go outside. That means they cannot earn for that day. And that means if they cannot earn on that day, they do not have food. And also there are many people who have been migrated to India and to other countries. Now they are back, or they are stuck in other countries, so their families are struggling. And also single ladies and those who are physically challenged or mentally challenged, those people are really in critical situation this time. And I can, yeah, definitely, in this photo, we can see one of the elderly lady who is also taking care of her husband who is partially paralyzed. And she used to break these stones to make earning, and even the hammer she's holding is not hers. Some kind neighbor has given her so she can use and break stones and make money for that day. But because of pandemic, she cannot go outside, so she did not have any security for next meal. And yeah, people like this we can see in our communities who are really struggling to survive. Even another meal is a struggle for them. Yeah. And there are other those whose parents are in India and they are stuck there. They cannot come to Nepal. And we have many minor children even living by themselves. They were here for education, and their parents lived abroad as a worker. So they would send money for food, for education. But because of pandemic, they lost their job, or they could not send money. So these children are completely by themselves, and they do not have anybody to provide food for them. So some kind neighbor for them. So it was very heartbreaking to see people in desperate need. And yeah, and there were other one of the lady who could not speak, who had this physically challenged, who could not speak, who had hard time to register herself in ward offices, and that ward offices were providing food, but she could not go and register herself because she could not speak. So there were kind people from church, kind people from community, from toll offices, and they took her and they registered her name. They made sure that she got food to survive. There were many other stories that if we hear, if we see them, it really breaks our heart. But at the same time, it gives us an opportunity to serve them. Yeah.
And we're seeing in some of the pictures here, these bags of food. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about how the community leaders have worked together with their VDCs or their mayor's offices to identify families and then provide the food they need?
I think one of the plus points for us as Enlace, we worked there for almost 5 years, and we had a very good relationship with their church. Already trained them with different tools to identify the families in most need, and those tools has been used during this time. And families and the toll leaders, they would go house to house. Here, toll leader or toll group are the tolls are the ones, those who live in same street. So that means they know every house, they know every family, they know everyone who is struggling and what situation they are going through. So these lists were created by the toll and for the churches. and those who could not survive, who could not make sure that they had next meal. So leaders during this time, we could see the real passion. They were going house to house, door to door. They were making sure that they have food, or they were making sure that these families are registered in ward offices so they can have food from government and from other organizations as well. So these were the amazing leaders who were going house to house. In our case, it happened. They went house to house. So we have profile for each family where it is listed how much food they have to survive, or they do not have any food. So that's how we prioritize with help of community leaders. Yeah.
I think one of the interesting things that I've been learning as we've been working with Tina and the team is that in Nepal, all help has to go through the mayor's office or the VDC. So it's been really interesting to see how church and community leaders have been working together with the mayor's office. And in fact, not only giving their supplies to the mayor's office, but then the mayor's office joining them in walking through their streets. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about how that's working, how that's improved the relationships between community leaders and the VDCs.
Yeah, these were the opportunity when even community leader could raise voices, not only for their development sector, but also for the, for the survival thing. They were going to VDC, they were going to government offices, to the municipality to make sure these families are registered. So it has strengthened their relationship, not only in terms of official work, but also in personal work. And now mayors from municipality, they're asking what we can do. And also community leaders, they have families, they have the list ready whom they want to support for the next meal. So this is amazing. Like now it's not only like, okay, we are official, now we have to do, but it's like we are person living together in this community. And now how can we help these families during this time? Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. The other thing that's incredible is, like you mentioned, the level of detail. Because you're walking house to house and you're really getting to know each family, the stories, how many kids, if they have parents that are immigrants or not, how many, the exact story of their needs and how to care for them. And it's incredible to see and to hear what the church and community leaders are doing throughout this effort. To this day, how many meals and hygiene packets have been provided through the communities for these most vulnerable families?
Yeah, we have done 2 rounds of relief, and all together, including first and second round, we have helped 653 families, and we have provided them 130,600 meals. And it's amazing. It feels good, at least. Yeah, we're so happy about it.
That's incredible. And with the staff that's been on lockdown, working by phone and by internet and everything else with these pastors, once again, incredible to see how important it is for these pastors to already, and church leaders to have real strong relationships with the community leaders together already, so that they can distribute these meals. That's fantastic. What are some of the next steps? What are you guys doing right now? How are you going to continue to help these families over the next 2-3 months?
We have a different approach. We are looking through what government will pass. If the lockdown remains strict, we have to extend our relief effort. But if lockdown is loosened or government says there is no lockdown, then we will have another method of helping them. Yeah, definitely we will provide them food for at least for 3 to 6 months. But we are also helping them to rebuild themselves. How can they make income by themselves? How can they provide food for themselves? And how can they look after their each meal? So we as a team, we are working during this time when we cannot go outside. We are sitting together in our computer and talking about how can we help these families. Like we have different ideas. Like how can we help to raise their income. We have brought different programs like livelihood, like helping them buy some goats and help them train how to raise them so they can make income after a few months, and also how to raise pigs, or how to raise chicken, and how to use their small land for their cultivating their own vegetable. So this is how we are coming up with different plans. We are working together. We are collecting all the information that if we have some technical stuff from a municipality, that municipality can provide us to provide training to these families. So these are different ideas and different plans that we team working together.
Well, that's fantastic. I think once again, what's really interesting to me is that, we've been talking to people in Guatemala, we've been talking to people in El Salvador, and now bringing in the Nepal story. And it seems that there's certain commonalities, there's certain principles that kind of come to the front as we listen to all of your stories. And I think the first is really being prepared, having those relationships on the ground. If the church and community leaders can really work together, if they have a relationship with the municipalities, and they already have those relationships that they've been creating where they trust each other and they have done some projects together, or at least built some relationship, then it's a lot easier to kind of jump into relief and recovery work. That relationships of trust are already there, which is so critical. And the second thing is, I think, is really finding the most needy family, really understanding what is their story, what do they really need. And the only way of doing that is by utilizing those relationships you have to identify and befriend the families, really understand the situations. And as you've mentioned, the stories really change for families. Some families, like the elderly or like those that can't come out because they're sick, you will need to continue to provide ongoing care through food supplies. And I think you've identified 135 families that you want to continue to provide because they cannot provide for themselves. It's too dangerous, too much of a risk, or they don't have land. They're immigrants, so they don't have land, or they're minors. Their parents are abroad working, and they haven't been able to send any money back because they don't have the income. So really, still figuring out these families still need to be cared for in a more direct way by feeding and providing hygiene packets. But for those other families that do have land, really helping them start to get back to work, either through goats or vegetable farming or actually just their regular grain production of rice and everything else. So it's really interesting to also see how important it is to have that long-term ongoing relationship, that the community leaders continue to work together, continue to connect to these families, and continue to care for them in unique ways over a period of time. So we are so excited to hear what's happening, Tina. We're impressed. I'm inspired every time I talk to you all about what's happening. I'm so encouraged to hear what the pastors are doing on the ground, what the church leaders, what the community leaders, and how they're working together to have such an incredible impact. So I want to thank you again, Tina, for your time. Thank you for Sam. I know Sam is taking care of the kids right now as you're on this program. So I appreciate that. But I want to encourage everyone during this time. You've heard Tina's testimonies. You've seen the stories. We have not normally done any specific fundraising pitches for Nepal for various reasons, but we really believe at this time that we could really help these 135 families. As we've mentioned before, for $90, a $190 gift, you'll feed a family of 5 for a month in Nepal. And we really want to take on this challenge then of being able to provide food supplies for these 135 families. So if you have it in you, if you have any affinity towards Nepal or India, or if God puts it on your heart, please consider giving. You can go to the website. It's enlace.link/donate, and this link will be in the chat box. And then in the drop box, it says Enlace Nepal. You can select that, and you can give any amount, and all of that will go to continue to provide food aid for these most vulnerable families. I also want to remind you to SIP. If you haven't yet signed up for the monthly Give program, if you haven't had a chance to get the coffee, please sign up now. You'll receive a bag of coffee with your subscription, and also incredible impact stories of what your SIP is providing, the impact you're having. Finally, if you have a chance to run, I know many of you are either runners or want to get into running. There's all kinds of running groups starting in many churches that we partner with, from Eastview to Resurrection in California, to Summit out in Pennsylvania, to Willow Creek in Chicago. In fact, there's multiple areas. So if you're interested in running or joining a half marathon, either with your church or otherwise, we have 2 or 3 runs coming up. You can go to runforcentralamerica.org, and all the information is on there. You can also just go to our website and find more information on that. So we encourage you once again to give, sip, or run. And we really, truly appreciate all that you're doing for Enlace during this really hard time as we try to resource church community leaders to have incredible work like you've seen today. Tina, thank you again for being on the show. Is there any way that you could pray for us in Nepali and close off the show? And then I'll finish in English. So Tina, would you mind praying for us, please?
Yes, let's pray. प्रभु हामी तपाईलाई धन्यवाद दिन्छौँ फेरि यो समयको निम्ति साँच्चै तपाईले दिनुभएको काम तपाईले दिनुभएको जिम्मेवारीको निम्ति प्रभु हामी धन्यवाद दिन्छौँ तपाई मात्र एउटा परमेश्वर हुनुहुन्छ प्रभु येशू जसले एउटा उदाहरण हामीलाई दिनुभएको छ प्रभु साँच्चै नै कसरी प्रेमलाई हामी अरूसम्म पुर्याउन सक्छौं अरूको निम्ति प्रभु हामी कसरी आशा बन्न सक्दछौं प्रभु अरूको निम्ति हामी कसरी तपाईको प्रभु हात र खुट्टाहरू बन्न सक्छौं प्रभु हामीलाई मद्दत गर्नुहोस् अझै हामीलाई प्रभु यस्तो अपर्चुनिटी यस्तो मौकाहरू दिनुहोस् प्रभु ताकि हामी तपाईको प्रेम तपाईको हृदयलाई प्रभु मानिसहरूसम्म देखाउन सकौं प्रभु साँच्चै नै हामी तपाईलाई धन्यवाद दिन्छौं डर त्रासको समयमा पनि प्रभु एउटै कुराले हामीलाई सान्त्वना एउटै कुराले हामीलाई प्रभु बल दिदछ त्यो कि तपाई सबै कुरामाथि प्रभुत्व गर्ने परमेश्वर हुनुहुन्छ सबै कुरा तपाईको नियन्त्रणमा छ भन्ने हामी जान्दछौं प्रभु धन्यवाद दिन्छु प्रभु यो कार्यक्रमको निम्ति हाम्रो सबै साथीहरू रन अनि अरु सबै साथीहरुको निम्ति म धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु प्रभु फेरि पनि तपाईले हाम्रो प्रार्थना सुन्नुभयो हामीलाई मद्दत गर्नुहोस् प्रभु हामीलाई सहायता गर्नुहोस् सबै बिन्ती प्रार्थना म उद्धारकर्ता येशू ख्रीष्टको नाममा माग्दछु आमेन. Amen.
God, we love you so much. We thank you again for the incredible opportunity to join you in what you're doing in Nepal. I see the pictures, I hear the stories, I hear Tina and Sam's heart and the rest of the staff heart for the pastors and the church and the community leaders and how they talk about these most vulnerable families. And I just feel so overwhelmed, but also just so grateful and thankful that we get to be a small part of what you're doing through these incredible young leaders. And I thank you for Tina, thank you for Sam, I thank you for all their hard work, for the passion that you've given them, for the intelligence, for the creativity. I thank you for the rest of the team. I pray that you'll keep them safe, you'll keep them engaged, keep them energized as they continue to walk alongside churches and community leaders and the tolls and the VDCs to do incredible work for these most vulnerable families. I thank you for the church leaders. I know that they've been tired, they're getting tired now. After 5 months of serving, it seems like the end of the tunnel. It seems like every day it's getting worse, not better, that they're not seeing the end of the tunnel. But I just pray that you'll lift up their hands, that you'll give them strength, that you'll keep them focused, that you'll keep them energized, that you'll continue to multiply their resources as they care for these families. I thank you for all the community leaders and the toll leaders and the municipality and the mayor and all the different people at the VDCs. Thank you for opening up their hearts to be able to care for these families. Thank you for their hard work. I pray that you'll continue to bless their efforts, continue to strengthen them. And I just give you all of this. I put it all in your hands, knowing that you are leading this effort and we get to be a part of it. So I thank you so much for this opportunity to have Tina on the show, to hear her heart, to see what they're doing. And I pray that you'll bless them, keep them safe, and use them in incredible ways. I thank you for this time. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you again, Tina. Please say hi to Sam. Thank him again for helping out. And then also for the rest of the team and for the pastors and community leaders and everyone involved. We're so encouraged. We're inspired by you all. And we truly are impressed by what God is doing through you. So thank you again. God bless you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you.